channel Time for Study. And today we are going to take the lesson number 1, Indian Constitution. India, as you know, it's our country, and you might be knowing, children, that India is a democratic country. What does democracy means? Democracy means government by the people, for the people, and of the people. Now, to make this democracy run smoothly, for that the constitution has been framed out. Now, why we need these laws? Why? Because as you know, every organization, any institution, take for us your school, we have set of rules there, and you have to abide those rules. On the traffic, while you drive, you have to follow those rules, because if you don't follow, you are punishable. Anything can happen there. So to run anything smoothly, anything should be functioned properly for the betterment of that institution, for the betterment of our country. That's why we need laws to be made. And if there are no laws, then indiscipline and chaos will exist. So set of rules are must, and we need to follow them. Now let's take a Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, which was amended in 1986. You know, guys, women were treated indifferently during all the times, and now in some parts of the world and in some parts, even in India, still they are discriminated. They are not properly educated. They are not at par with the boys. And so in early time, those they were married. Early marriages existed, and at the time of the marriage, they were demanded gifts from the in-law sides. So the girl parents have to fulfill their demands, and in case if she failed to bring the dowry, she was harassed physically and verbally. She was tortured and she was pressurized. With the result, girl either was sent back to her parents' home, or she had to face the brunt of this throughout her life. Her life became miserable. So what was the effect of this? What was the repercussions of this? That the girl were burned alive to death by their in-laws, and some were harassed, and cruel treatment led to the suicide in some cases. So 1961, so Dowry Prohibition Act was passed. What is the prohibition? That means you have to stop anything. So then the gifts which were sent by the bride's family to the groom's relatives, and they were stopped. And in case it was found that still these things were existing, still it didn't stop. Still, somewhere, some reports of women were killed, women were butchered, women were tortured by their in-laws. So what the government did, they scrutinized the policy. They did some amendments, means they added something to that. That in case if they found anywhere giving the dowry or taking the dowry, so that was offensible, and that the person who did like that was behind the bars for 5 years of imprisonment, or 15,000 of fine. So this was made unlawful. This was made that they are not supposed to do any such activity which is unlawful. And this thing stopped, because they had this in mind, that in case they are going to take the dowry, or they are going to demand for the dowry, they will be definitely behind the bars. So nowadays still it does exist, but in a refined way. Still now we have to these laws still have to be more important, and more they have to be made strong. So let's come to the one more topic of it, that is the role of the constitution. What's the role of the constitution? Why we make these laws? Why we have to follow these laws? As you know, India is a very diverse country, where there are diverse group of people, diverse traditions, diverse culture, and diverse religion. So these laws are made, so these rules are made, that we have to follow. Every citizen has to follow. And these rules, children, why these rules are made? These rules are made for the betterment and benefit of our country. The betterment and benefit will in turn be the benefit and betterment of ourselves also. So these set of rules, they shape the constitution. Whether it's a poor man, whether it's a bureaucrat, whether it's a wealthy businessman, whosoever it is, nobody is above the law. Law is meant for everybody. Rules have to be followed by every citizens, because when you follow the rules, it gives shape to our society. It makes a society a good society. Supreme law counts are made in legislature, and the state needs to go in accordance to principle laid down in the constitution. Now let's come to the why rule of law. It is, as I said, these are laws which have to be followed, and you remember this thing, that nobody is above the law. Now, what is the legitimacy of the law? Legitimacy of the law, as you know, that in our constitution, we have our aim is that we have to make equality, social equality is supposed, nobody is above anybody. Now, in Article 17, that Article 17, which was regarding the untouchability, as you know, there were a lot of, there was a grave problem in the early periods that untouchability existed. There were caste systems in India, Brahmins, they used to treat the Harijans very low. They used to do all sort of dirty things were meant for those Harijans. But now, when the government saw that the India getting deprived, getting day by day deteriorated by these caste systems, they made certain laws, and these laws, were made that nobody should treat anybody untouchable. These untouchability existed from the very beginning. As you know, they were not allowed to enter any hospital, they were not allowed to any religious place, they were not allowed even to take water from the wells, and so many other things. Not their children were not given the admission to the school. So that is why there was an act, Untouchability Act, and its amendment was done in 1976. And anybody who involves in these things, in the practice of untouchability, was supposed to be, it was an offense, and they were supposed to be get punished by the law. That means the law there, they were put behind the bars for 1 or 2 years. Okay, now second thing we'll discuss about the laws and dissent. Dissent means when you disobey anything. Disobey when you see something needs a change, whether it's a political way or whether it's a social way. Some laws which are not good for the society, somewhere something has to be done for that. So we disobey. We don't obey those laws. And government has to see why the people went dissent, why the people are not disobeying, why the people not obeying the laws, what is the need to be for it to get it improved, or for that to get it, give it a new shape. Now there, if any disobedience will take place, it will give a radical change to the political system, whether it is a social change, whether it is a political change. For example, when you talk about the Russian and revolution, this revolution or French Revolution, there were tremendous there were changes, there were dissent of this law, because it was an autocratic law. Autocratic means when somebody, or monarchism when it's a one rule, when they make their own rules, and then the others have to follow, whether the rules are for their good one, for betterment them, or not for their betterment. Now same happened in India, where two pre-independence, this dissent took place. One was pre-independence, and other was post-independence, after the independence. What is the pre-independence case? Was salt satyagraha. Salt satyagraha was like the British, as you know, the India was ruled by the British. The Britishers they had their own, they didn't allow anybody to make the salt, and if anybody made the salt, they used to snatch the confiscate, and then he used to have the sentence of 6 months imprisonment. So they wholly and solely made the salt, and nobody, and plus they imposed the tax on it. And then Gandhiji, he stood for the Indians, and he took a satyagraha movement where he made his own salt, and that is why we called it as a Satyagraha Salt Act, done by where Gandhiji leaded the people, and he made the salt. Now let's come to one more thing, that is after the independence. As you know, it was called as anti-liquor agitation in 1990. As you know, the people, one more thing, which is that habit of drinking, and it happened in Andhra Pradesh and Haryana, where alcohol was banned. People, mostly the women, they show resistance towards it, and it was the drinking was adversely affecting their families. They became more poor. Their women faced the physical torture and mental torture from their husbands. They were all day night drunk with this, and there was no activity, no progress was going, and then all the money went into buying this liquor. So now they started against it. They started making they started they started agitation, and the government imposed a ban on it. And but children, government gets a lot of tax from this liquor, so it was hesitant to ban it at first. But a strong agitation by revolt by the women of Andhra, Delhi, and this Haryana made government bow before them, and that the ban of this liquor took place in 1990. And this completes your topic, Indian Constitution. Thank you, children. Hope you like my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe it. Thank you.